Next, bullying stereotypes make no sense.
When I was a kid, every movie, show, or book taking place in a school had all of these bullying stereotypes that made no sense and I never saw when I went to school. The first stereotype that doesn't make sense to me is people getting bullied for wearing glasses and braces. I don't know if this was just
Yeah, when they're like, oh, what's your problem, brace face? Honestly, I feel like that might have been an insult in like the 70s. I think the biggest thing, it's usually in Disney shows, movies, Nickelodeon, anything you watch when you're a kid or anything based around high school from like the early 2000s depicts bullies as like physical bullies that will just like walk up to you, shove you in a locker, beat you up, and take your lunch money. That's not really like, have you guys ever seen that in your own personal experiences? I think modern bullying today is more social than physical. Like, what is bullying to you guys now? Mainly verbal. So in some instances, yes, it's probably physical and like fighting or like genuinely like pushing or punching somebody. But for the most sense, I would say it's social. But the whole like pulling somebody's underwear over their head and like fucking burning a cigarette on their arm or something back when people used to be able to smoke when they were 18 in the US and shit like that. Like, I don't think that happens.
But when I saw these kids with their cool glasses frames and their colorful braces, I straight up felt like I was in an RPG with wood armor and everyone else was dripped out to the max. Also,
I never got colored braces. No, I did, but I never got like them intertwined. You were always able to select multiple colors. I always just said, give me blue. I always had blue, and that was it. Because, like, who gives a shit? I got to change the color of my braces. It's not a fucking fashion statement. It's fix my fucking teeth for being crooked.
Every time I'm watching a show and someone's getting bullied for wearing glasses, the go-to insult is four eyes.
Arthur's a four eyes. Arthur's a four eyes.
Like, seriously, that's the best y'all could come up with? If you wear glasses, how do you even take offense to someone calling you four eyes? Like, that's the weakest insult I've ever heard. And insults for braces aren't much better. Metal mouth? That actually sounds super intimidating. It sounds like a nickname for a heavyweight boxer that...
Well, now I think that... Okay, you want to hear what I genuinely believe is that was an actual form of bullying, probably with a few schools in the 70s and 80s. I think it was commercialized and TV show, popularized, and then it became cringy. And so now, if you go into a school and you're like, what's up, brace face? You're the loser. Now you're cringy because that's a cringy insult. At some point, if a level of bullying becomes cringe, then they have to stop doing. Yeah, it's too mainstream. You got to be more. Bullies have to be more unique in how they harass people. They can't do generic insults. Otherwise, they come off as cringy and ununique and stupid themselves.
And I'm sure back when people wore headgear and had super dorky glasses, they got made fun of, but that was dinosaur times. Like, glasses and braces have been cool for like at least 15 years. Another stereotype that makes no sense to me was like when kids would get made fun of for doing well in school. Like, you know what I'm talking about? In movies and shows, they'd be the Ben Shapiro looking kids that would try super hard in their classes, and then they'd get made fun of for caring about their grades and future.
Like being a nerd. Yeah, being a nerd. You still get made fun of for being a nerd. I don't think people get made fun of for doing well in classes. They get made fun of for doing niche things that are nerdy. And that used to be like video games to a degree. If you were a kid that played League of Legends in like fucking 2015, you were probably a loser, right? Like I don't mean you were actually a loser, but I'm saying, like, that's what people called you. But you weren't one. It was just cringe then. Then once it becomes mainstream, same thing with anime, yeah. The anime kids in 2017 were made fun of. They were nerds. They were cringe, and they were bullied for liking anime. Now if you don't watch anime, you're weird. Yeah. Dude, it's so crazy how that shit flips. Like computer kids too. I remember making fun. I wasn't bullying him, but I remember when I was in high school, it was my junior year. It was 2019. PCs just genuinely just started getting like bigger and bigger and more mainstream for people that were like, teenagers and not really like mainstream gamers. And He was like, dude, you got it. At this time, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 were out. The PS5 and the Xbox Series X wasn't out yet. They came out like a year later. But he was like, you need to get a PC, man. I was like, what the fuck are you using? You're using a computer to play video games? What are we in middle school? What are we in elementary school? You're playing fucking Adobe Flash games? I had no idea the vastness of Steam and how good the games are on PC. I like it, and I look back at it and I was like, wow, I used to think it was weird that he had a computer.
I'm pretty sure this stereotype is based on like no real world evidence. Like when I grew up, the most popular kids were also really
League of Legends is still like cringe. Yeah, but I don't think you would get bullied for it. I think in like 2015, somebody would genuinely bully you if you were like a WoW player and you just grinded World of Warcraft all day. You think you would get bullied for being a League player now? Maybe I don't think that because I have a lot of friends that play League. So it's like normal in my niche. You think you would get bullied though? You might get made fun of a little bit and you're like, dude, you play League? But I don't think anybody's going to like bully you. What's a game that you would get like bullied for playing? Now I'm thinking like fucking like RuneScape. If you're like 15 and you're playing RuneScape, somebody might make fun of you. Genshin Impact. Yeah, something like that. Valorant, I don't think anybody's going to bully you. Like gacha games. Yeah, gacha or Gooner games.
good students. It's just that they didn't look like this. They
Bendy and the Ink Machine. Still. People that are obsessed, but that's more the niche obsessive group of Bendy and the Ink Machine.
just look like normal kids. You know it's possible to have a high GPA while also dressing well and not being a socially awkward weirdo? I'm pretty sure intelligence has always been celebrated throughout history. Like, I have no clue where this came from. If there's any unks watching this video, please comment down below if there was ever a time in history when people got made fun.
Dude, same thing with like being fat. I think people still make fun of fat people in high school, which is fucked up, you know, but because of how obese the US has gotten, there's so many people that are overweight that it doesn't make sense to make fun of somebody for being overweight because they're not as fucked up as it seems. Bullies make fun of people that are a part of minority groups, not necessarily of race, but something that singles them out and makes them different from the majority. That's what bullies do. And bullies can't make fun of people for being fat anymore because everyone's fat. Not everyone. A lot of people.
Fun of for trying in school. Also, I think we've become super liberal with the use of the word bullying. Like, sometimes it's not bullying, but just teenagers being teenagers. When I was in middle school, kids would just call each other the most vile insults. Like, the lunch table was basically just a COD lobby, but I wouldn't consider it bullying because everyone was participating. In a weird sense, it was kind of wholesome. I grew up in a pretty diverse place, but the only thing that really annoyed me about middle school was that we'd have these roast battles in the middle of class where everyone would just go around roasting each other's ethnic stereotypes, which that part alone is fun. But my problem was
if it's a I think it's not considered bullying if it's a back and forth. If you make fun of somebody and they make fun of you and you're both kind of like fucking around, it's not a serious thing comparable to when you just have a bunch of people harassing one individual that's just eating it. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to say, though, is I think every friend group in high school had a friend that got made fun of the most. And it may have been you, it might be you, and it might be somebody else. And a big thing that I vividly remember is that friend not being in the friend group or not being in school that day, and then it transitions to another guy, right? There's like an order, as fucked up as it seems. It's like a hierarchy in high school, at least when I, fucking 5 years ago when I was on high school. And it was a hierarchy where it was like, if that kid wasn't there that day, it moved on to tier 2. And now that kid's getting made fun of. And then, then on the off chance that 2 of those kids don't show up that day, it's the third guy, and the third guy hasn't been made fun of in months. And then they just start fucking with him, and he's the one that doesn't take it well. And then he has a bad reaction. Now he moves from third to first. and now that first guy comes back to school the next day, and he's not getting made fun of anymore. And he's like, what's going on?
Like, I'm of Indian descent, but people would roast me using middle.
Is this from experience? I was middle of the road, right? So if there was 5 people, I was like 3. Like, I would get made fun of like an average amount. There was a few guys that wouldn't get made fun of. I would get made fun of, but not as bad as some of my other friends. I'm not going to say his name. I love him, dude. But I remember, I haven't talked to him in years, but I remember in high school, people would fucking grill him, dude. We would be at the lunch table. People just make fun of him. Okay. Oh my God. He used to wear headphones and watch League of Legends at lunch. Oh my God. No, actually, this is just like all coming back to me now. He used to fucking wear headphones. He was one of my closest friends in high school. He was a great guy. But like, he used to wear literal headphones and just watch League. And people would make fun of him.
And I kind of had to like hold their hand while they were roasting me and give them a geography lesson. Like, no, don't roast me for that. Roast me for this. Like, let's start out with the most iconic, the wedgie. I'm gonna keep it a buck. If you're a dude and someone wedgies you and you just take that and do nothing about it, maybe you deserve to get wedgied, bro. Like, if I ever have a son and he gets wedgied, I'm going to tell him he is obligated to start throwing hands immediately. No matter how much bigger the...
Yeah, also grabbing somebody else's underwear in their pants and pulling it.
You simply cannot take that. I personally never saw anyone...
You ever get swirlied? Bro, see, that's something that, like, can't be real, though. Were people actually getting... There had to have been one kid that actually got swirlied in high school. Like, the kid that had a late growth spurt. And they like would hold him by his legs and dunk his head in the fucking toilet water. But like that probably hasn't happened in 30 years. That happened to my friend. He got swirlied. But then what happens? Then does he go back to class and he's sopping wet, right? And the teacher goes, "Oh, why are you so wet?" Does he just go, "Gym class," right? Your head's covered in toilet water. And you're fucking soaked.
Now let's move on to stuffing kids in lockers. Bro, what? My high school didn't have any lockers, and in middle school, the lockers were too...
I put my friend in a locker, but he willingly stood in it. He was one of my friends that was... We had lockers that were like 5... They were probably 5 feet tall. And he was probably like 5'3". Now he's probably like 5'10". I saw him at a bar the other day. I was like, dude, you got fucking tall as shit. Anyways, well, he wasn't at 5'10" isn't tall as shit, but he got way taller than when I fucking saw him. And I remember he stood in the locker and he went like that, like to see if he could fit, and I just closed it on him. I let him out though. I wasn't gonna leave him there.
Too small to stuff anybody in. But I'm gonna be real, even in places with full-size lockers, I doubt anyone's actually getting stuffed in a locker. Like, you know how hard it would be to shove someone into a locker and then try to close the door on them? If you get stuffed in a locker, you probably want to, bro.
Dude wore flops to school. Oh, flops to class? That is wicked, dude. That is crazy.
Stuffed in a locker? You probably want to, bro. Then we got swirlies, which is like bordering on a CIA level human rights violation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you getting a swirly of fresh toilet water is not that bad. Getting a swirly of like that level of piss or even poop. Flop Friday, bro. Dude, my school is flip-flop Friday, dude.
I've never heard of anyone getting swirlied, but if that happened to you, like, I genuinely feel bad for you. Like, that's actually messed up. But it's so mythically evil that it's hard for me to believe that it was ever, like, a predominant bullying tactic. Now let's talk about hornets. If you don't know what hornets...
Oh, dude. I made one of these the other day. Whenever I find a loose rubber band, I make a hornet. What is a hornet? You basically cut a thin slice of paper. You got to try it, okay? Don't shoot it at... Do it when somebody's facing away from you. You don't want to take out one of their eyes. You could seriously injure them. You fold a piece of paper, so you get a, piece of computer paper. Cut like a thin slice and fold it like really thin. Bend it in half and get a really taut rubber band, maybe even 2. You pull it on both sides and like slingshot it. And it's called a wasp or a hornet because it feels like a wasp. I used to call them wasps, but it's because it feels like getting stung because it hurts that bad.
They're basically when you roll a piece of paper super tightly and then wrap it with tape, and then with a rubber band you launch this lethal projectile at unsuspecting classmates. I remember I must have been 8 when my older brother showed me what a hornet was. He asked me to take off my shirt and turn around, and at point blank range he launched a hornet at my back at full force. At that moment I fully understood why they called it a hornet, because it left a red mark on my back for 2 weeks. Safe to say I showed all of my friends.
That's a shitty one. The small one right there probably stings the most. This one's pretty good. That's shitty. That's fucking flopping and hitting the ground.
At school what a hornet was after that, and we'd play this game where we'd launch hornets at each other in class while the teacher was talking in an attempt to get each other to scream randomly in class. And I'm telling you, there is nothing funnier than one of your friends going "ah" in the middle of class while the teacher is going over the Pythagorean theorem. But back to bullying. No one gets bullied harder in school than the teachers. Like, I definitely had some teachers I didn't like, but geez, some kids.
Yeah, I remember my teacher used to call her Coconut Head because she had Coconut Head's haircut. I've talked about her on stream before. And we used to have to put our phones in a basket before class because she wouldn't want us to use our devices, obviously, and just get distracted. And she didn't know about like advancing technology and how some of like the people in my class had Apple Watches and they would play shit on their Apple Watch from their phone, and they would play it and just pause it and play it and pause it and play it and pause it, and she would just turn and look at it, and she was like, and she would never say anything because it was like she was going crazy. So they would just play like either like meme songs or like Mo Bamba or some fucking shit.
Kids would say the most vile stuff about teachers because they got a bad grade or got assigned some extra homework. And I think because kids are just evil.
Then the next semester she fell down the stairs and they got a sub for the rest of the year for her. And I didn't see her after that. Oh my God. I don't remember. I actually think she fucking retired after that. Yeah, no, she fucking fell down the stairs, and I was like, where did she go? And there was like a permanent sub, and all the kids in that class were like, I don't know. I feel bad for her, but now our class is easy as shit. Because she used to assign so many essays, and the sub just had no idea what he was doing. So he just basically gave them like fuck around work for the rest of the year.
They'll just create rumors about their teachers that are just way too out of pocket and borderline should be illegal to say that about someone. I remember some kids found out my 8th grade basketball coach got a DUI, and within hours his mugshot was all over Snapchat. People were roasting him so hard, and the craziest part was he was completely oblivious to it. No one would speak of it to his face, so as far as he was concerned, no one knew about it. High-key
Bro, there was that, and then I remember, dude, because I went to an all-guys school, we had an art teacher that was like probably 32, and all of the guys were obsessed with her and would be like, dude, I'm gonna pull her one day, man. I'm gonna pull her one day, swear to God. I just like literally just vividly remember people taking the class just so they would have her as a teacher. And I took the class. That was actually one of the best classes I ever took because I used to just be able to listen. She would let us listen to music and just draw, and it was so fun. Because I would just fucking be jamming out for 45 minutes, just practicing shading. Art class is lit, dude, honestly. As a fucking, if you ever the chance to take like, you know, whatever free classes you want, art's the best. Just take a fucking regular art class. Don't get too into art because then it gets too hard. Take art 1, dip. Everybody, I remember at the end of the year, she was like, you should sign up for art 2. I was like, nope. Because I had a friend that was on art 2, and it was like 10 times as hard. Art 1, if you just try, you get an A. Art 2, it's like you actually have to not suck.
Being a teacher is kind of scary because you got to know that a lot of your students are just going to be Googling your information online because kids kind of have no boundaries. Speaking of boundaries, you know what's boundless? Space. And you know what's in space? Stars. And you know what?
Is this an ad?
Happens on stars? Wars. And you know who likes Star Wars? Nerd. Everybody.
Oh.
Because for the past decade or so, nerd culture is cool. I think this is the only bullying stereotype that has any sort of actual validity.
Dude, I think that nerds have in part gotten less cringe because of number one, how widespread gaming has become, but number two, like influencers and shit. Not me, but like I actually saw AMP posted about this. I think it was Phantom. and he was like basically saying how AMP really popularized being yourself and gaming and shit. And he was getting like a lot of hate for it, but I honestly kind of think like he's in part right in that a lot of people think those guys are cool and they're like nerdy gamers to a degree. And so you're able to have that, I don't know, duality of being a, you know, a nerd that has a very niche, you know, interest in anime or gaming or something, but not getting made fun of for it. Some nerds just act weird. I think social media also made being a nerd not as weird because people were more widespread in the internet and found their own interests, and they finally gave anime a chance or gaming a chance, and then it's like not as cringe.
For a long time, people with nerdy obsessions were ostracized from society. Like, you know those soy kids that are super into like Battlestar Galactica despite knowing like nothing about astronomy and have a physique that makes them look like they'd pass out from walking up a staircase? For a long time, I'm sure those type of kids were ostracized from the other kids at school. I mean, anime didn't even become mainstream in the West until like the last 10 years. These days, you literally have rappers from Houston cosplaying. I wonder how
That, and even if you're a part of a friend group that gets, even if you are a guy that gets, or guy or girl that gets bullied in high school, there's probably people that have the same interests as you that you can find that you like. You know what I mean? I remember there were kids that got made fun of a lot, but they sat at lunch tables with other kids that had, you know, the same nerdy niche interests as them. And then they were all friends with each other.
Like these days, if you play Minecraft and watch anime, you're definitely gonna find friends. And if you're not hideous, you can probably find a girlfriend also. If you graduated in like 2010, 2011, you just missed out on being cool.
Oh my God, what is this video? Why do I know this video?
You just missed out on being cool. Like, I graduated in 2023, and one of the kids I knew in high school that pulled the most played Valorant all day and was like 5'5". Society has like completely culturally shifted in like the last 7 years or so. School hierarchies don't exist anymore. That's why I never
Hard disagree. I think they don't I don't think they exist as much. I don't think there's definitively like people that are popular and unpopular. Like, it's not just like levels, but there definitely are like cool kids and nerds. I think it's more group segmented and categorized now than just like cool kids, known kids, and like nerds that are bullied. I think now it's like you're friends with, you're categorized as your specific sport or what you're interested in or what club you're a part of or something like that.
Understood these rich high school shows. Like, I could make an entire video about this, but I think you know what I'm talking about. You know, these shows where the rich, popular teens at school navigate the hardships of being rich, popular, and attractive in upper class America. Like, bro, who is actually relating to this? And follow me on Instagram. I'm posting there once we hit 20,000 subs.
That was a fucking good-ass video, dude. I genuinely enjoyed that. Real-life bullies found out using social media gaslighting was more effective than paraphysical harassment. Yeah, because it gets them a better reaction. And they have less of a chance of getting expelled for physically assaulting someone. All right, next.